Today we will be discussing the most intimidating debuts of characters in One Piece. But before we get into it, I want to thank you all for the support I've gotten on my last few videos, and yeah, let's get into it. Starting at the top of the list, we have Smoker. We first see Smoker during the Logtown arc, where some poor, low-ranking marine has to run and inform him that Luffy and the Straw Hats are on their way to Logtown. Meanwhile, Smoker is just sitting in a dark, smoke-filled room. After receiving the message about the Straw Hats, Smoker heads down to the port of town, and while he's walking, some low-level marine is trying to tell him to keep in mind of how big of a threat Monkey D. Luffy is, and Smoker flat out gives him the worst scolding and says, "Don't tell me what to do!" And the marine's like, "Sorry, sir, won't happen again." As he continues his walk, some little girl runs into him with ice cream and spills it on his pants. And Smoker, being a big, intimidating guy, remember, Smoker's like 6'11". As you can see, comparing him to any of the other low-ranking marines, Smoker very much towers over them in height. He's a big guy. Not really by One Piece world standards, where we have, you know, giants like Harudin, and we just have generally tall people like Whitebeard, but definitely by our world standards, Smoker's a very big guy. He's 6'11", like, he should be up on them courts, if you know what I mean. He is a really tall, imposing figure, and he looks down at this little girl, and he takes a knee, and he says something along the lines of, "Sorry, kid, it looks like my pants ate your ice cream," and gives her money and walks off. Later on in this arc, we actually see Smoker fight Luffy, and we learn about the Logia devil fruits. And my god, Smoker, when he was first introduced in the Logtown arc, he was the equivalent of God in One Piece for a brief period of time. We didn't know about Haki, we barely knew anything about Sea Prism Stone at this point, and there was no way to actually attack Smoker without the attack going through him. Remember, the Straw Hats only escaped Logtown because Dragon came through with the assist. Smoker was terrifyingly overpowered when he first debuted, and yeah, he was just terrifying. Next up we have Bartholomewkuma. So we first see Kuma appear in episode 151. Actually, we also see Doflamingo for the first time as well. And we see them in a meeting with the 5 elders, but this part is very brief, so I'm not going to count it as his official debut. Later on down the line, Kuma put the fear of God in us during Thriller Bark. We see most of the crew is busy fighting oars at this point. Luffy is chasing Mordia, and Nami heads to the Sunny to fight Perona after hearing about her plan to take all of the treasure on Thriller Bark and escape by stealing the 1,000 Sunny. Nami reaches the pier where the Sunny is docked, and she confronted Perona, and as it looks like their fight is about to start, Kuma appears with the speed of an instant transmission. Look, I don't know what it is, man, but Kuma's stature, he's really tall. Like, even One Piece standards, he's really tall. Kuma's 22 feet tall. Something about him being able to move so quickly freaks me out. We also see a bit of a speed feat by him in Sabaody when he's destroying the Straw Hats and defeating them and sending them to their various islands. He stops in the middle and speed blitzes to Rayleigh, who is in the middle of a fight with Kizaru, so he speed blitzes to Rayleigh in between Kizaru and him fighting, and tells Rayleigh that he's a part of the Revolutionary Army, and that he's sending Luffy to Amazon Lily. Anyways, back at Thriller Bark, we see Kuma appear behind Perona, looking down menacingly at her. And Perona's like, "I recognize him. He's one of the 7 warlords of the sea, the tyrant, Bartholomewkuma. Lord knows what atrocities he's committed." Just look at the sheer size difference between Perona and Kuma. That alone is intimidating enough. Kuma's a massive dude. And as Perona is on the ground frozen in fear, Kuma asks, "If you were to go on a trip, where would you like to go?" And Perona's like, "Why would you ask something like that? Why are you making small talk?" Well, actually, an old dilapidated castle sounds nice. But after gathering herself, Perona decides it's a wise idea to fight Kuma and steal his shadow for Mordia. So she releases a bunch of her hollows, and without any hint of a struggle, Kuma pulls off his glove and sends her to a dark, damp castle, which happens to be Mihawk's castle. And to all of us One Piece fans, we haven't actually learned about Kuma's devil fruit at this point in the series, and he is the 3rd major warlord we've met so far in the series. The first was Crocodile, the second was Mordia, and then the third one now being Kuma. So as far as we know, Kuma broke down Perona at molecular level and erased her entire existence like Dr. Manhattan. Kuma is just a giant, imposing, scary figure when we first meet him. I mean, I guess it doesn't help that he's properly introduced to us in Thriller Bark, which is the Halloween, spooky, scary arc of One Piece. So yeah, that's Kuma. And finally, we have Aokiji. Aokiji is an odd one. In the manga, we are introduced to Aokiji while the Straw Hats are at Long Ring Longland. But in the anime, for some odd reason, they introduce Aokiji to us on some random island. When we first meet Aokiji, he's pulling a Luffy and sleeping weird. I'm pretty sure he was sleeping standing up behind a rock. That's one of the weird, quirky things about the series that I love. People always sleep weirdly. Luffy just falls asleep at like a dinner table. Aokiji's just sleeping standing up in the middle of a field, but behind a rock. So Aokiji's sleeping, standing up behind a rock, and he wakes up to see the Straw Hats, and they have a brief interaction until some people that have had their ship wrecked and became stranded on the island approached them. The Straw Hats fed the people, Chopper tended to their wounds, and eventually Aokiji created an ice bridge to connect this deserted island that the people were stranded on with an inhabited island. And he made this bridge while also instantaneously and effortlessly freezing a Sea King. Now, up until this point, Aokiji has stated multiple times that he has no reason to interfere with the Straw Hats right now. He's not on any mission, he has no orders to stop the Straw Hats or to bring them in, so he's just gonna let them go. His only job at the time was to see the whereabouts of Nico Robin, which, you know, she was with the Straw Hats. It confirmed his suspicions of where she was. So Aokiji is just going to let the Straw Hats leave, and Luffy's angry and wanting to fight him for no reason, hearing that Aokiji is an admiral and he's so strong, one of the strongest people in the Marines. Luffy, being Luffy, and much like Goku, wants to fight the strongest people in the area at the time. So he's getting riled up, wanting to fight Aokiji. And Aokiji's really trying to defuse the situation, not wanting to fight, until after these stranded islanders leave the island. And Aokiji starts to talk about how he thinks the Straw Hats, which by current One Piece standards are incredibly weak. Essentially, he says, the Straw Hats are going to be a really big problem at some point, so he might just capture them now. Things escalate, and Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy all end up attacking Aokiji at once, and Aokiji, in response, freezes their limbs, and as the monster trio is on the ground trying to recover from being partially frozen, Aokiji freezes Robin solid. He's about to shatter Robin's frozen body into smithereens, but Luffy and Usopp manage to save her, and as Chopper and Usopp rush to Robin to treat her, to stop Aokiji from pursuing Robin, Luffy challenges him to a duel. And guess how it ends? Luffy gets frozen, exactly like Robin, and Aokiji on a whim decided to spare Luffy by not shattering his frozen body and killing him. Aokiji was, and still is, so intimidating because there was nothing that could have been done to stop him. In a sense, this is the first official time that Luffy went up against an opponent that he hasn't defeated outright. The next character like that would probably be Magellan. Actually, no. The next character like that would be Kuma at Sabaody. But Kuzan, man, like, he could have ended the series early. I came to a realization during my What If Luffy Died in Logtown video. Apparently, it's really hard for a series to continue if you kill the main character. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be informed every time I upload a video. I upload every Monday and Thursday. Feel free to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Links are in the description, and I will see you in the next video.